Hello everybody. I really wanted to title this video, Is the Church in Europe Driving Men into Paganism? Okay, so in one of my earlier videos, perhaps even the very first video, I really spoke about how the far right is very different depending on if you're looking at Europe or if you're looking at the US. And I explained that one of the differences is that in Europe, there's a strong current of paganism within the right party, which, in my personal opinion, can lead the right to a little bit more of a sort of slightly more old fashioned, more collective, more tribal mentality, which can include racism and things like that. That being said, today while I was taking a very long walk, I was really contemplating the church and some of the issues that I see are happening in the church in Europe. Now, it has been my long-term opinion that Christianity in Europe has become extremely feminized. Now that might sound extremely strange for me to say, since I'm always a little bit hard on men and masculinity. But actually, I'm one of the greatest fans of masculinity. I love men. I really love everything manly and masculine and everything else like that. And actually, some of the reasons why I talk about the things that I do is actually desperate desire in me to preserve masculinity. But just in this video, I really want to focus about how the church in Sweden is actually sort of castrating Jesus Christ. Now, when we look at masculine attributes, of course, sometimes women can really display masculine attributes and beautiful aspects of typical masculine attributes. And we can see men who are a lot more feminine and gentle, and we need everything in the spectrum. So I am in no ways trying to be hard on anybody who might be sort of on one end or the other end of the spectrum, whether we're talking about masculinity or femininity. I'm a fan of both, actually. I actually think that they're beautiful both in their own little ways. So when I really look at the church in Europe, I see where they have sort of over feminized Jesus, and that's why one of the reasons why I mention a kind of castration of Jesus. And of course, I don't mean any disrespect to Jesus, but Jesus was a man and he was tough and he could be gentle with children and he was kind to women, but he was an extremely, extremely tough man. And if you read the Bible, you see the description of especially Jesus when he comes back as the conquering king. He's so terrifying that even the disciple that laid on his breast was actually so terrified he fell over dead. So Jesus is a scary guy. He's not just gentle Jesus, mild and meek. Jesus is dangerous. He is a judge. He is a mighty king. He is a warrior. He is masculine in every single aspect you could ever imagine. He's authoritative. He really, really, while he doesn't overburden us with rules and regulations the way that religion and religious control does, he is a fierce protector of those that are his. He is he's a mighty king, and he can execute judgments that are fierce and terrifying. And, that's a beautiful part of who Jesus Christ is. And I would have to say that in Europe, people have almost kind of cut out all those scary bits of Jesus and said, oh no, he's just your friend. He'll just give you a big hug. He just wants to give you lots of good stuff. And God is good and he wants to give you good things too. So don't get me wrong. But God is no pussy. I'm sorry, that might be like a little bit rough to say, but it's true. Jesus is really, really tough. And I think that the church, in so driving and cutting out the incredible toughness of who Jesus is and the attributes of masculinity, that the men of Europe have almost had to seek after a more masculine role other than Jesus. And they found that in Thor, who's the god of war, who is a really tough masculine character, who has nothing on Jesus. But, the men of Europe don't necessarily see that, and they don't see any role models in the church. And there is nothing in the church that really allows for the dangerous aspects of masculinity. Because there are dangerous aspects of masculinity, and that's not necessarily bad. That's part of who they are as men. And so I think that there is definitely something to be said in regards to when you get out of balance in your Christian walk and your perspective and how you see things, that you can really drive people in the wrong direction. And I really believe that Europe definitely needs a very strong masculine role, and without it, they go to wrong role models. One of the reasons why I can appreciate American men as much as I do is because they are Christians, they're believers, and they are tough. They're tougher than snot, and they allow themselves to be that. Now, on the other hand, American men are also very, very difficult to deal with on many different occasions. They can be very hard on women, and I really hope to see that change, but I definitely don't want to ever lose that really beautiful aspect of the real toughness and the real warrior mentality that I see especially in American men, who are so, so precious. And Swedish men are too, but I see that they have almost kind of lost their identity through some of the political correctness. And if I were to really, really, really look at American men and British men, even with some of the political correctness, you have a lot of men in both England and America who are really willing to make a stand, even a public stand. Many of them have lost their jobs, but they have still stated that they're not just going to follow after what is politically correct. And, there's something to be admired about that. They're able to sort of break the rules of society, and they're able to deal with the consequences that come with those. And that's real courage. And I really believe that that's what faith is. And so faith is dangerous. It's not just I better follow all the rules, and I better be a really nice person, and I better not piss anybody off. Jesus every once in a while pissed a lot of people off, and he surrendered to death, but that was his choice. It wasn't something that someone forced onto him. He did it, and he did it because he knew he was going to come back, and he was going to be dangerous when he came back. So I really hope, one of my real desires is that one of the reasons why I have such a heart for the right, the more conservative thinking people, is because I see a lot of really tremendous, beautiful, masculine aspects. But I'm also very hard on the right because some of those aspects it really needs to be under control, and it needs to be civilized. And I almost think that, especially in America, the right has become almost kind of uncivilized or barbaric in some of the ways that they treat other authority, other political figures, women, for example. And I really, really hope, my hope for American conservative masculine men is that they become a little bit more civilized. And my hope for Sweden is that there comes tremendous men who are just really tough and masculine and true believers and can really stand up for what's right, regardless on the consequences. Because the ultimate belief or the ultimate aspect, character quality of men, in my opinion, is the ability to lay down their life for a greater cause. And I think that Europe is definitely missing that. And I think that because of some of the past history with the sort of authoritarian right, where, for example, with Hitler, they became almost afraid of masculinity. And but masculinity is not to be afraid of. It's really, really good, but it needs to be under the control of civility, and it needs to be strength and power under control. So I really see sort of a sort of identity crisis with men happening or they don't really know who they are, and there's not a lot of good role models, and the church has sort of castrated Jesus Christ. And, it's really causing a real tremendous sexual identity crisis. So, anyway, that was my thought while taking a very long walk today. I will try to get back to my cookies, of which aren't working out as well as I really hoped. Um, I really don't know exactly what I did, but they're kind of so soft that they're just kind of falling apart. And I don't really want to just make a bunch of crumbs. So we'll see if I can fix that though. Have a good day, and I will get back with you a little bit later.